Kyle Wright had his worst outing of the year for the Atlanta Braves as they fall to the Boston Red Sox 9-4 on Tuesday night. Ronald Acuna Jr. remains hot at the plate, though, and the offense had some chances in this game. We'll cover all that and preview Wednesday's matchup on today's episode of Lockedon Braves. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, a part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jake Mastroianni. You can follow me on Twitter at shortstopball. Check out my bio there to see everywhere I am covering the game of baseball, including the Atlanta Braves in written form over at tomahawktake.com. Also, make sure you follow the podcast on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube as well. And thanks for making Locked On Braves your first listen each and every day. We post episodes daily, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and are free and available on all platforms. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about that 9-4 loss to the Boston Red Sox on Tuesday, breaking down everything in that game, including Kyle Wright's rough start, or rather a rough inning. Talk about Ronald Acuna Jr. remaining on fire and getting on base, but what's happening behind him in that lineup. And also we'll preview a Wednesday's matchup between Ian Anderson and Nathan Eovaldi. But let's start with Kyle Wright on Tuesday night and what was by far his worst outing of the year. 4 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 4 walks, 6 earned runs, and 4 strikeouts. And when you go back and look at this outing, it's really just that second inning. That's where he gave up all 6 runs. And you can really pinpoint 2 at-bats in that inning. You can look at just several at-bats in that inning that if, one thing goes his way here or there, it doesn't happen. But walking the 7th and 9th place hitters, Franchy Cordero, who the Braves just couldn't throw strikes to on Tuesday night for whatever reason, but walking Franchy Cordero, walking Jackie Bradley Jr., that's asking for trouble. And honestly, it's just a little bit unacceptable for Kyle Wright and where he is at this point in his career, where he should be, where he has been. You can't walk the 7th and 9th place hitters. I talked about on Monday's episode previewing this series, there's 3 guys in this Boston Red Sox lineup you can't let beat you. You can't allow Rafael Devers, Xander Bogaerts, and JD Martinez to come up to the plate with runners on base. And that means you can't be walking the 7th, 8th, and 9th place hitters for the Boston Red Sox. And Kyle Wright did that, and it led to a grand slam by Rafael Devers that pretty much sealed the game right there. Now, the Braves offense had chances to get back into it. We'll talk about that in a second. But that was really the ball game for the Braves here. If he gets out Cordero or even just Jackie Bradley Jr., then you get out of that inning, and I think the Braves win this game. But that, to me, was the difference in the entire game, is walking the 7th and 9th place hitters in that second inning, and that pushing the lineup to Rafael Devers, who is one of the best players in the game, and he hit the huge grand slam, jumped all over a fastball. Walks have really been a killer for the Braves all year. I feel like there's been way too many games where Braves pitching has walked 5 or more batters, and I'd be willing to say they've lost all those games when the pitching staff has walked 5 or more batters. So they gotta learn, to limit those walks. And again, easier said than done, I know, but that's been a huge problem, a huge struggle for the Braves pitching staff so far this year, is just the amount of walks, the amount of free passes that they're giving to other teams. And you look at the Red Sox, this was a season high, 7 walks that they had in this game. They came in to that game with the fewest walks in baseball. And the Braves walked 7 Red Sox hitters. That is just unacceptable. Really hard to watch from a fan's perspective when you're walking all these batters. And just gotta you got to stop. There's nowhere other way to say it. Just stop walking batters. And that has been the biggest problem for this pitching staff all year long. They continue to get themselves in trouble with walks, and it just pushes the lineup along and gets back to the middle of the order for the other team and allows them to do damage. And that's what hurt the Braves on Tuesday night. For Kyle Wright specifically, it was really the fastball command, and we've seen him struggle with that at times this year. He wasn't able to command the fastball, and when he was leaving it out over the middle of the plate to get hit really hard. In fact, Red Sox hitters had an average exit velocity against of 101.4 miles per hour on that fastball. So wasn't able to command it, and when he did and he left it in the middle of the strike zone, it got hit really hard. Every other pitch that he threw, his curveball, changeup, all that, sinker, had an average exit velocity of 84 miles per hour or less. So it's really just that fastball that has been giving him trouble, or gave him trouble in that second inning in particular. He started out the gate hot, 9-pitch first inning, looked like it was going to be Kyle Wright rolling along against an offense in the Red Sox that was really struggling coming in, but couldn't get out of that second inning. I will say it was encouraging, and I was glad to see Snitker do it, to allow Kyle Wright to just keep going back out there and not have to leave after that second inning with a bad taste in his mouth, knowing he just gave up a grand slam. He put his team in a hole by having to go to the bullpen in the third inning. So being able to send him back out there and him to work into the fifth inning, I do take that as a positive for Wright and for that game in particular, for him to be able to go out there and be able to put some zeros up on the board. Hopefully that gives him some more confidence going forward, and at least, hopefully takes some of the bad taste out of his mouth from that second inning. And like I said, the offense had chances to win this game, to really break out in this game. I tweeted out in that first and second inning, it seemed like Boston Red Sox starter Garrett Whitlock was just begging the Atlanta Braves hitters to do damage against him, and they couldn't. In the first inning, Acuna walked, he stole a bag, and he advanced to third on an error, setting him at third with one out, and Austin Riley strikes out. And then Ozuna, obviously gets out as well. And just frustration from the beginning. We know the record when the Braves score first. Who knows? I doubt that changes anything in that second inning for Kyle Wright, but still would have been nice to get a run on the board there. And then in the second inning, you had runners on the corner with one out, and Dansby Swanson strikes out. Those ended up being huge because if, things play out the way they did the rest of the way, even if Riley just puts the ball in play, ground ball up the middle, Swanson, puts the ball in the outfield, gets those runs in, you're looking at 2 runs there. And if everything else plays out the way it did, you're looking at a 6-6 ball game, going into the middle innings, and likely, Snitker makes some different bullpen decisions later in the game, and perhaps the Braves end up winning that game. So, continues to be a problem for the Braves playing situational baseball and just getting runners in, putting the balls in play when they need to. And I get it. Garrett Whitlock, I know he wasn't sharp on this night, but a very good pitcher, one of the best pitchers for the Red Sox. But still, you got to find a way to put the ball in play there. You have to find a way to score those runs, because that was a huge difference in this game as well. If you score, one of those runs in those first 2 innings, I think this game plays out much differently. The one thing I will say is that the offense really did make Garrett Whitlock work. If they had just come up with a big hit or 2 in those first or second innings, again, I think this game is completely different. I think they pull Whitlock even earlier and have to go into their bullpen, even earlier, and perhaps can't use as many of the good arms that they did end up using on Tuesday night. But wasn't to be. Offense couldn't get that done early on. Travis d'Arnaud did have the big home run in the third inning that cut the lead in half to 6-3. Nice to see. And I don't know if the balls are carrying anymore now. I know it's getting a little warmer down here in the South, but I thought Travis was way out in front of that ball, and it carried out into the left field stand. So maybe that's a sign of things with the baseball starting to turn around a little bit. And then finally, I wanted to mention Ronald Acuna Jr. He had the hardest hit ball of the night at 115.2 miles per hour for a single. He walked twice in total, got on base 3 times, scored 1 run, which continues to be a struggle for me, that Ronald keeps getting on base, and now the guys behind him aren't hitting consistently enough to drive him in. That's getting to be a bit frustrating. Acuna did steal his 5th bag of the year in just 10 games. So great to see him continuing that. But the biggest development of the night for me was that he made several running catches, including one very similar to the catch or the play in Miami where he tore his ACL. One of the catches he made, I mean, it looked pretty much identical to the jump that he made in Miami when he tore his ACL. So that's got to be huge for him. You know, I'm sure he's probably a little bit sore today on Wednesday. Would not be surprised if he goes to the DH spot on Wednesday. But for him to be able to make those catches, to have the confidence to make those catches, run those balls down, it's got to be huge for Ronald Acuna Jr. Certainly huge for Braves fans to see him be able to do that, and got to be great going forward. And again, just keeps getting on base. He keeps looking better and better each time out. So really excited with where Ronald Acuna Jr. is right now. The bullpen kept the Braves in the game on Tuesday and gave them a chance to win. We'll talk about that after this. With spring in the air, it's a time of renewal and growth personally and professionally. As your small business grows, LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring, so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So despite the 6-run inning for the Boston Red Sox on Tuesday, I still felt like the Braves had a chance to win this game, and I never really considered them out of that. Again, this lineup, gives you a puncher's chance, and you had the 3-run homer by d'Arnaud that got you back into the game early in the 3rd inning, and with that many innings left, I just felt like this offense had a chance to come back and win this game. They went really silent in those middle innings. Danish for the Red Sox in general just really shut the Braves down. That was a bit surprising to me. I know he's been good for Boston this year, but the offense just really went silent in those middle innings, tacked on a run late, made it 6-4. But I thought the bullpen did a really great job in this one until the 9th inning, obviously. But Jesse Chavez, Tyler Matzik, Jackson Stevens, and AJ Minter tossed 3 1/3 shutout innings, allowing just a hit and a walk with 6 strikeouts. So very good work out of the bullpen there in those middle innings to keep the Braves in this game and give the offense a chance to try and come back. And I thought Matzik's outing in particular was very encouraging. And look, you've been listening to me on the podcast. I've been highly critical of Tyler Matzik this year and my concerns with him, getting hit hard early in the year, the fastball velocity being down, and his control command just not being there. But I thought this was an encouraging outing for him. He did walk the first batter, and he fell behind 3-0 to Kiki Hernandez. But he battled back, got Hernandez to pop up, and then I thought the biggest at-bat of the night for him came against Rafael Devers, a guy who the Braves just can't get out, and he just attacked him fastball after fastball. That's all he threw, fastballs, and it was still a lower velocity, 93, 95 miles per hour, but he just kept throwing heaters to Rafael Devers and finally got him to strike out. And you could almost just see, Matzik take a deep breath there and say, okay, I can still get hitters out at this velocity if I command my fastball. So I thought that was big for him in that moment. Got JD Martinez out right after that and ended up working a scoreless frame. So hopefully that's a sign of Matzek starting to turn things around and be able to command that fastball a little bit better and just have confidence in it, knowing that he can get batters out at 93, 95 miles per hour with that slider that he has. So one of the positives for me on the night, Tyler Matzek just getting a little bit more confidence. But overall, thought the bullpen did a great job keeping the Braves in this game. And then you get to the decision in the ninth inning, and Brian Snitker brings in Tyler Thornburg. And look, Tyler Thornburg has been really good for the Braves this year. And I understand the decision. I'm not gonna kill Snit for this move right here. I think he brought in AJ Minter in the eighth, thinking, okay, the Braves can battle back, get a run or two in the bottom half. Then maybe you go to Will Smith, or I don't really think he's going to bring in Kenley Jansen there if it's tied or if you're losing by a run or two. But I do think he wanted to give the offense another inning there to see if they could come back and make it a little bit closer, if not tie it. But when that didn't happen, he ended up going to Tyler Thornburg, and it just was not his night. He let the game get away, allowing 3 runs to score in the ninth inning, and that pretty much put a cap on the night. So again, I understand if you're upset about that move. I get it. I think you could have gone to Will Smith there in the ninth inning. You had an off day on Monday, you got another off day on Thursday. So, the bullpen should be fully rested there to use your better arms. Even Darren O'Day, I always bring up Darren O'Day as a guy that I would just rather see come in a game like this where you're down by 2 runs. I just think he's effective enough, to get those outs. But like I said, Thornburg had been really good all year. I understand the decision there. It's not overly brutal decision for me by Snitker, but I can understand your frustrations if you don't agree with that. But that did pretty much put the game out of reach at that point. And last thing I really wanted to talk about here is that I think it's time to move Ozuna out of the cleanup spot. I mean, we are talking about almost 3-4 weeks worth of a slump here for Marcell Ozuna, and we're still batting him in the cleanup spot. I talked about the fact that Acuna keeps getting on base and he's not scoring. Some of that has to do with, Matt Olson and his slump that he's in, that I think he's coming out of. Now Riley's in a week-long slump himself. Ozuna's been slumping for, like I said, 3-4 weeks now. I think it's time to get Ozuna out of that cleanup spot. I think Travis d'Arnaud needs to be hitting there. He's been consistent for the Braves all year. It's just really tough right now when your 4 and 5 hitters are hitting 210 and 223 respectively with on-base percentages under 300. It's just really hard for your offense to get rolling when your 3 and 4 hitters aren't hitting. They're not getting on base, and that's what's happening right now with Ozuna in Ozzie Albies. I know Snit doesn't like to shake things up in the lineup very often. He likes to run the same lineup out there pretty much every day. But I think it's time to get Ozuna out of that cleanup spot, if not just give him a day off. And I don't know. I don't know what to do with Ozuna right now, but I know he doesn't need to be hitting in that cleanup spot. But I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know, what's your ideal lineup construction right now for the Atlanta Braves? Let me know down in the comments on YouTube or tag me on Twitter at @Lockedon_Braves. All right, next we'll preview Wednesday's matchup between the Braves and Boston Red Sox as the Braves try to earn a split of this 2-game series. Summer is coming, and with summer, you're going to need some food on the go. Built Bars are the perfect snack to take with you on family vacations. Throw them in your bags and your kids' backpacks. Make sure that everyone has a bar so you are fueled for your summer adventures. The best part about Built Bars, they're healthy and delicious. No more sacrificing delicious food for health. With Built Bar, you can have both, and it's easy. All you have to do is go to Built.com and order now. All Built Bars and Puffs are covered in 100% real chocolate. That means that with Built Bar, you can eat healthy and actually enjoy doing it. If that's not enough flavor for you, then you might want to try the Mixed Box. The Mixed Box come with 12 flavors of bars and puffs. Built Bar makes sure that there is something for everyone, like my favorite, the cookies and cream. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which usually has around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. Go to built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Again, use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Ian Anderson will take the ball on Wednesday for the Atlanta Braves as they try to split this 2-game set with the Boston Red Sox. He'll be going up against Nathan Eovaldi. I talked about it coming into this series. The Braves were going to get the Red Sox best punch in this one, going up against their 2 best starters in Garrett Whitlock and Nathan Eovaldi. I'm not a huge fan of this matchup for Ian Anderson, but I hope that I'm wrong. Again, you cannot walk batters, and especially not in the bottom of their order. Ian Anderson struggles with walks and command at times. Can't let runners be on base for Bogarts, Devers, and JD Martinez. Again, same as the bullet points I gave you coming into this series. They weren't able to effectively do that on Tuesday, and it came back to bite them. Hopefully that changeup is dancing in the zone for Ian Anderson. He's getting the weak contact, and those balls are going right to the Braves defenders so that he can get those easy outs. He's been great. His last 4 outings has Ian Anderson. Hopefully that trend continues because the Braves really need him on Wednesday. It would be really bad to get swept against this Red Sox team that was not very good coming in. Even if Ian Anderson can just give you, 5 innings of 2 runs or less, the bullpen should be plenty rested. With the off day on Monday, the off day on Thursday, there's no reason for Snit not to use his best arms out of the bullpen in this game. So just need Ian Anderson really to give you 5 solid innings and just turn it over to the bullpen at that point. For Eovaldi, he's coming off his worst outing of the year so far and his only loss. You take a look at his Baseball Savant page and you see a lot of blue in there, kind of indicating that he's been a little lucky according to the metrics so far this year. His expected ERA is 4.07, over a full run more than his actual ERA. But one thing Eovaldi doesn't do is that he doesn't walk a lot of batters, and he somehow still gets a lot of swings out of the zone, gets a lot of chases out of the zone. That's probably because of the speed differential between his 97-mile-per-hour fastball and his 80-mile-per-hour curveball that he keeps hitters off balance with and gets them chasing on that curveball. So that's something to watch on Wednesday, is how he mixes up that fastball curveball combination. Travis d'Arnaud, 3 for 9 off Nathan Eovaldi, has the most experience against him. So hopefully he's catching. Hopefully he's batting fourth for the Atlanta Braves on Wednesday. And I'm pretty confident he will be catching in just this 2-game set for the second day in a row. Got to at least earn a split of this one at home, again, against the Red Sox team that was really struggling coming in, especially offensively. So hopefully Ian Anderson, the Braves, are able to get it done. That will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves, and you can follow me at ShortstopOfAll. Also, make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube as well, and we will talk to you next time.